their blogs, because it gives them an idea of what the applicant is, gives them how they think. So I'm blogging very seriously, putting up their thoughts, and it would give potential recruiters a very good idea of what that student is. Not, I keep saying student, I mean applicant. How the applicant thinks, because when we are hiring people, one of the biggest fears is what the person is actually. And because what we see is just over a space of 1 hour, 2 hours, but we don't know the person's uh, mental abilities and things like that. So blogging, I think, will give students an upper edge when they get out into the world of work. So it's a very good thing that it is part of our syllabi now. So keeping pace with what is happening in the real world, I'm hoping and I'm sure that this session will help the students immensely for their futures, and for teachers also to connect with students. You never know what opportunities may crop up. Somebody sees a blog that you have written or regularly reads your blog. So with that, welcome once again to Mr. Silverio, and I hope everybody enjoys this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Ms. Samiksha Vengulekar, Assistant Professor in English, to introduce the resource person for today's session.
Yes, thank you so much, Adya. It is my pleasure to introduce Silverio Souza. Mr. Silverio is a blogger, writer, and a comedian. After graduating, he began. Mr. Silverio had almost 2 million followers, which is just, he loves doing interesting things with content. He creates content for multiple blogs and social media channels and program events while heading the brand team of LVC Comedy Club in Goa. Though he confesses of procrastinating about running his own YouTube channel, he will soon start one to encourage blogging amongst youngsters. He's a perfect example of a multitasker who does many interesting things at one time. I welcome you to this session, sir.
Thank you so much, Samiksha. Thank you.
Yes, Adya may take over.
Before we begin, I request all the participants to please keep their mics muted and videos off. If you have any questions during the presentation, be sure to type them in the chat box and we will bring them up during the question answer session. I now request Mr. Silverio D'Souza, sir, to please begin the session.
Thank you so much. Firstly, can everybody hear me clearly? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
Silverio.
If maybe,
we can hear you
awesome.
clearly.
Awesome. If maybe one or two of you could keep your mics on at some point or just interact. I'm going to be very terrible at multitasking on this specific occasion. So if the messages do come up in the chat box and I miss anything, please do point it out and I'll definitely address it. That's the first thing. Secondly, before I begin with anything anymore, I would like to thank Samiksha, who was actually a classmate of mine all those years ago. Samiksha, I can't believe it's been that long, for giving me this opportunity to be here. I would like to thank Madam Principal as well for all that she said. Picking up exactly where she left off, she mentioned that when employers are hiring, they do make it a point to look at the kind of work that an individual that they're hiring has done. And that is true. In fact, I was recently doing some research on companies in the United Kingdom. And there, they, funny enough, mentioned how important it is to run a background check. The reason being, about a year ago, pre-pandemic, if anybody remembers that time, we would meet a lot of the people that we were going to hire in person. And it would give us an understanding. We would talk to them, we would build a rapport. And once you have that rapport, it kind of gives you an understanding of the other person and yourself and whether they would be a good fit for the kind of work that you needed, whether they would be a good fit for the team that you were working with. Now with a blog, whether it is in the kind of work that you handle in terms of video, in terms of photo, in terms of anything, content, the actual content you're putting out does not have to be the written word. It could be acted out. It could be a video. It could be music. It could be image art. It's king. That's the stuff that's going to get you to places. Now, is the software we currently have good enough to read all of the content that we're putting out? May not be. But we have to learn that things are changing on a regular basis. So we have to stick to what we're good at. Today, if we talk about Google, just before we do get into blogs, Google is really, really good at prioritizing keywords. Keywords are very important when you're writing a blog post. We will get into what a keyword is and why it's important and stuff in a bit. The thing is, can they do the same with images? They can, but not to the same degree that they can with blog posts, with actual written word. However, things are changing, and in future, they will obviously be a lot better at it. So let's like pull our socks up and get straight into blogging. I don't know if I have the rights. Can I share screen? I'll just check if it works or if I'm asked for permission. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, I would like to share the content of the screen. Meet. How about now? As soon as you can, let me know. Oh, nice. Okay, you can. Lovely. Awesome. Okay, here we are. So let's get straight to it. So today we're going to talk about blogging and content writing. I've done this session many times in the past. And I would also like to say, if anybody has any questions, please do as I'm going through them, because when it's fresh on our mind, it's a lot easier than at the end where we'll have to come. And by all means, please feel free to ask any question you have, no matter how stupid you might think it is, because trust me, at some point, everybody needs to learn something. None of us were born with any knowledge, whether it's blog posts or, I don't know, mitochondria being the powerhouse of the cell. So just ask as stupid as a question you think it is, and we'll definitely address it. And I promise I will not make fun of you. I don't mean that sarcastically. Okay, getting straight to it. Blogging and content writing. Before we get any further, what is a blog? If anybody knows, please feel free to shoot messages, or not just shoot messages, but also just send your speak your response, because I don't want this to be one-sided and very boring. So what is a blog? Anybody has any idea? And I would prefer if the students got involved and not just Samiksha, because she's helping me not make this monotonous. Anyone? Come on, you guys got this. Very simple. When you decided you wanted to attend this workshop, you decided you wanted to attend it knowing something about a blog. What did you think a blog was? Oh, so it's going to be like that now. But I just get silence this entire time.
I can see at least two students, Adya and Dimple. Any idea? Would like one of you like to try?
Even the teachers, maybe, if that's the case. Be totally fine. Okay. Anyway, so then I'll just get through it. So, a blog is ideal. A blog means any content or website. Yes. Yes. Sumit, your microphone's causing a bit of an echo.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say about that blogging. It's actually like a daily diary that we write. It's like that way we are writing diary online to be published or to be referred by our followers or any person.
Awesome. Now, okay. Maybe Sumit, you could now mute only because it's causing an echo. Awesome. Thank you so much, buddy. And thank you so much for what you just said. You are 100% correct. Let's just change a few things of what you said. One, it is a place where you do put up content so that people, other companies so that others can benefit. Your purpose of having a blog could vary. It does not have to be necessarily a diary like you put it. It could be a diary, so you're not wrong, but it does not have to be one. For instance, if Mercedes is launching a blog, firstly, it's not going to be a diary. It's not going to be like today I felt like launching so-and-so car. They are going to just talk about the cars that they launch. Second, you said daily. I believe you said the word daily. It doesn't have to be daily because Mercedes, for instance, would not, I don't think they would be able to launch a car every day, have 365 cars at the end of the year, new launches, and then the following year, another 365. So I would switch daily with maybe regular. Now, that is not to say you can't write daily. By all means, if you can, go for it. Power to you. But most people don't stick to blogs, daily. It's more of a regular thing, right? So different companies, different individuals use blogs for different purposes, and their purpose defines what exactly they would put in the blog post. Referred to as. Okay, back to where we left off. So the difference between a website and a blog. Many companies can have websites. Not all of them have blogs. So a blog is, like we already said, a regular update, a place where you constantly keep putting up more information. Now, preferably, you wouldn't do that on a website because the website has certain pages that are static. For example, the About page would always be about the website. There would not be any specific updates to it on a regular basis, except if you consider maybe once every 5 years when like the board of directors changes, something to that effect. But that will not be a regular update about the happenings within the company. Again, can a website run without a blog? Yes. Is it smart to do that? Probably not, because the blog post is the thing that is gathering all of the traction and gathering all of the people to come to the website. It's what Google uses to, help a website get better ratings. So, why should I blog? The next very interesting question that we should ask them. So it's very important to know that you don't have to blog, and it is wise, however, to blog if your plan is to help build a website or help a website get a better ranking. If you just have a blog, the more posts you put in the blog, the higher your chances of heard. It's very simple to do anything, actually. There are very few exceptions of people who have written one book, for instance, a writer who's written one book and it's been a massive success. Most of the writers who have been massive successes have actually written 100 before that, but one of them picked up. So the more content you put out there, obviously it's going to increase your chances of being viral at some point. Now, why should you blog? Why not? Is the question I always ask. Everybody here has something interesting they want to say. Everybody here has an interesting story you want to tell. Everybody here has something to talk about. Everybody here has some skill that is probably only known to them, or that they are better off than somebody else. And if all of this is true, you can definitely blog about it. Right? Move on. So here are some reasons why you should blog. You're a passionate writer. You want to raise your voice about a specific thing. You have knowledge on a topic that benefits others. You want to reach out to a global audience, or you could use the cash. Now, again, I always tell everybody that I don't believe that there is such a thing as fast money or anything like that, where, I just woke up one day and, oh my God, I'm a millionaire. I don't believe that exists. Maybe there will be, there definitely will be a few people, maybe 10 people around the world, I don't know, who go, yeah, that is true, that happened to me. Maybe, I don't know. But I think that everything's about the long game. So if I tell you right now, create a blog because you'll make money, that is probably something you would do in a couple of years, may not be just yet, the money part. But you can definitely create a blog today and, start working on it. So ask yourself the question, which one of these are you? Are you a passionate writer? Do you want to raise your voice about something? Do you have knowledge on a topic that benefits others? Do you want to reach a global audience? And if you do any of these things, you could 100% start a blog. All right, so there we go. What are the different types of blogs that you could start? Now, to be completely honest between you guys and me, it doesn't really matter the type of blog that you start, because you can adapt all of the blogs to meet whatever your requirement is. And in this day and age, with all of the changes in tech that we've got, it's very easy to start a blog in one place and then just make changes to it so that it can, accommodate something else that you have at a later point. So that being the case, does that mean that you should be very specific about the blog you start? Not necessarily. The reason being, I don't mean to sound very dark when I say this, but I'm pretty sure most of us, me included, at the age that I am, and I'm old, don't know what we want to do in the future. So I think most of us, and I might be wrong to assume, but I think with at least most of my peers, they just do a lot of things and then they settle for the last thing that they were doing when they reached this age where they're like, I don't want to switch now. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but when it comes to creating a blog, that is 100% true. You might start today thinking, I want to do this. And then as you keep working on it, you might go, you know what, maybe I could do that. That would be more fun. Or maybe I could do something else and that would be more fun. And if that's what you're looking at, good for you. Okay. So that being the case, be open to change, be open to adapting it to new things. Here are the different types of blogs that you could create. And there are probably a few other options. These are just categories. They don't necessarily mean as much. Does anybody here want to take a go at telling me what each one of these means in your opinion? Again, no wrong answers. I'm pretty sure that you guys can. It's all in the name, so you can't, not get it right. Just so we're clear, I'm just running through the first part because in the second part, we're going to talk about creating blogs. So if you all are at your computers, maybe you guys can take a swing at it. I don't know how good reception is everywhere and how good your internet is everywhere. So maybe we could do that in a bit. So right, does anybody want to take a go at what are these different types of blogs? Okay, I guess then I'll have to take a go. Ooh, me, I'll take a go. All right. So a personal blog is probably something that you start that's very personal to you. Okay. It could be you talking about a hobby that you have. You're talking about art. You're talking about painting. Whatever it is, that would come under the category of a personal blog. And then you would have a crowd contributed blog. Now, there are many options, many examples, of crowd contributed blogs. Some of these are, for instance, TripAdvisor, in a way, is a website that has reviews from other people. Airbnb does the same thing, where other people review the places that they see. Now, together, if all of these people,
which they do, just one second. Right.
Did I lose y'all or can you see me? Okay, sorry about that. So if all of these places do write-ups about if all of these people do write-ups about different things on one specific blog, you are then looking at a crowd contributed blog. So for instance, your college could have a crowd contributed blog. It would not necessarily be a crowd contributed blog because it would only have students writing about it, but it would be a blog that's written by more than one person and everybody puts their bits, their pieces into the blog, which kind of makes it a lot easier to digest. Because then it has different styles. So if I find X person boring, I'm like, okay, so-and-so person's fun, so I'm going to stick around. Then there's business and company blogs. Now, business and company blogs are interesting because they are ideally what's done by businesses or companies. Mercedes could have a business or company blog, so could every other company. What's the difference between a business and a company blog? Well, as opposed to the others, the difference is in a business blog, you can only talk about the business. I might love to talk about cars, but if I work at a pen company, I have to talk about pens. I might love to talk about gardening, but if I work at a car company, I have to talk about cars, and so on and so forth. Why do companies write these business blogs? Because it helps with SEO, because it helps the other. SEO is search engine optimization. And also because it helps people learn more about the product of that company. A company, no matter what company, does not want to take an audience and push them into something else. Mercedes is not going to say, oh, we make cars, but it's really cool that people can garden. Maybe we should talk about the plants that they could grow in this season. No, because you are catering to an audience that's only coming to you for cars, right? Niche blogs are blogs that cater to a specific type of audience. They could be like Goan cooking blogs, for instance, where you talk about specific Goan dishes. It's niche because it will only talk to like Goans, maybe around the world. Maybe there are Goans in Canada who are like, oh, I miss Goan food. And they can read your blog and go, you know what, I think I could cook that over here. So you're catering to a very niche audience. You could have similar blogs about, let's say, I guess, gardening in a specific state where the climate's a specific way and cater to your own audience. Professional blogs are probably blogs that are put in place to maybe teach somebody something. For instance, a good photographer could have a professional blog where they talk about how their audience could be good at photography, and that would totally benefit them. Media blogs are very similar to the blogs we just spoke, but they ideally have more content that's in the form of video or that's in the form of images. And affiliation blogs are very similar to crowd contributed blogs, but the only difference is they are affiliated with other blogs. So you could have one blog which could have sub blogs under it, sub pages that talk about other different things. You have a blog about Goa, and then it could talk about, let's say, the beaches of Goa and one of them, or shops in Goa, or something else, and move on from there. Okay, so now that we are done with all of these, let's move on. Before I move on, I just want to take a second to ask. I know I'm a little fast and it's going to get a little heavy. Does anybody have any questions at the moment? I'll count to 10, and if you all don't, we'll just move on. All righty then. Moving on to the next slide. So this is an interesting question. Is blogging relevant today? To answer that question, I would not be able to tell you a very simple yes or no, because it's a very complex question. I think that personally, I believe that there are certain types of blogs that are probably as relevant today as they ever were. And there are certain types of blogs that might likely not be as relevant today. And I think it's very important for a person who's creating a blog to know why they're creating a blog. Throughout the pandemic, people have found that they've been stuck at home throughout this whole COVID. I don't know if that's the case in South Goa, and definitely not the case in many parts of North Goa, because they've been going out and partying like animals while they should have been at home with masks. But I think overall, many people who've been afraid of catching the virus or spreading it have found that they've been stuck at home and they had no creative vent to whatever their talent was. They didn't have a place that they could talk to somebody about it. And that being the case, that's a very, very strange position to be in. And that being the case, everybody realized they wanted to start blogs. Now, back to what we initially said, your reason for starting a blog might vary. For instance, you might think, yes, blogging is relevant. I do want to start a blog only as an out to things I wanted to say. If people want to read, let them read. If they don't want to read, let them not. Now, if that's the case, blogging is 100% relevant. If you're looking to do something more with your blog, like I want to connect with other people of similar interests and stuff, I think it's relevant that the person doing it should do some research about who am I going to connect to? Which are the people that I follow? Who are my role models in this industry? And accordingly understand what they're doing and then move forward from there. Because otherwise we're just, shooting in the dark and hoping something hits. All right, blogging relevant. So here you go. To answer that question technically, with some technical information, blogs bring traffic to the website, which improves their search. What does that mean? Now, whenever you create a website, your website will be dumped somewhere in Google. I mean, Google is a search engine, so it basically lists everything created on the internet. That being the case, your website will be among the other billion things that are on Google. It is very important to work toward finding a way to get your website on the top of that list, no matter what the case. It's very important that you are at the top of that list if you want to benefit from all of the benefits that come with being on Google. There was a really funny joke that I don't know if people find it funny now, but back when I was in IT, everybody found it funny. So basically, this guy showed up to office one day and he goes, where do you hide a dead body? And we were like, that's a very weird question to ask. And he goes, on the second page of Google search results. That's actually a really funny joke because first, what it's trying to imply is that if anything is on the second page of Google, great, you made it to the second page, you're better than the third, the fourth, the fifth, and so on. But nobody even looks at the second page of Google. And I know it's harsh, but we are in a world where we can consume so much information, if we were sitting in front of a computer right now and reading for obvious reasons, even if we gathered all the books and read. Now, it's an interesting thing. I'll break that frame down. If we read every book out there from today till the day we die, we will still not finish reading all of that knowledge out there, right? But the interesting thing is, we don't have every book out there. Most of us at least, don't live in a library. We don't have our own personal libraries. If we wanted to gather every book, we'd have to travel somewhere. However, with the internet, we have all of that information right in front of us. And the interesting thing about that is, because we have all of that information right in front of us, we don't have the privilege of consuming all of it. So we have to be really fast and really picky with what we consume. Otherwise, and some people might not find it a waste, but many people would go, now I've spent 10 minutes reading something that I don't care about. So when we're searching for things on Google, you type the keywords in and then you read whatever's on the first page of Google. And if you've not found it, you don't go to the second page. You just retype the keywords that you're looking for. Now, you want your blog to be on that first page. And that being the case, blogs bring traffic to the website, which improves their SEO. Second, content lets people decide how good you are in your field. For instance, if I am writing on the Mercedes blog and I go, I think they have a V8 engine, I'm not really sure, but the engine goes vroom, vroom, and that's really exciting. Somebody's going to read that and go, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. And then if I go, last I checked, they had 4 wheels, maybe this one will come with 5. Like, what? It's a car. Really? Is that going to happen? So it's things like that which people read and then go, oh, this guy's an expert in what they're talking about. And that's why I want to follow them. Which is why I said you have to be good at what you're talking about. I said that earlier in the previous point. If you want a lot of people to follow you, right? Third, it could kick off a business idea which could become something so much larger. There's so many examples of people that started with random ideas and then today they are massive, massive companies. Of course, there's a lot of marketing involved and we have to work properly towards the content we put out. But we also do have to realize that we have to get started somewhere, right? So what's the difference between a post and a page? Now, this is not as important, but I'll get to it all the same. And every website has multiple pages and there are multiple posts as well. Pages are the things that define the website. For instance, you can have an about page, you can have a services page, you can have a contact me page, you can have so many other pages for your website. But these pages are ideally static and they will say the same, like I said earlier. Again, there might be few changes, but it's not a regular thing. It's not like going to be updated once a week or something. Your contact information will ideally stay the same for years to come unless you change the number or move. Your about us, you are going to be who you are. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and go, I am the grandchild of the president of America. If you were, that would be the information from today till 3 days or a week or a year down. So these pages stay stable. Now, with a post, you keep updating posts and you can tag posts to specific pages as well. Okay. When we are creating WordPress blogs, which we will be doing in a bit, we will tackle the difference between posts and pages in more detail. But until then, just bear with that information and then you can bring up the questions later. Okay, how to become a successful blogger. Now, blogging has always been a profession that most people did for fun, and a few people kind of exploded and became really, really huge at it. Today, the information is actually shared through YouTube. YouTube's becoming the next big, is the next big medium, and most people are becoming famous through YouTube more than through blogs, and that's great. But you can become a successful blogger as well, depending on how good you know about that field, how many people are willing to read about that field. In fact, interestingly, there's this girl named, I think her name is Riya Singh. She's a very famous influencer on Instagram. She's got several thousand. I think she's at maybe 1 million or 500,000 followers, which is huge. She's only making money off of all of the work she does on Instagram, which is her posting pictures of her in different clothes. Interesting story about her. She actually started out with a blog. She started out with a fashion blog where she spoke about fashion over and over and over and over again. People listened to all the stuff that she was saying, and they were like, this woman knows what she's talking about. She would post pictures and all that. When Instagram exploded, she jumped onto Instagram and it became that much easier. So people do get famous through blogs. And again, it's all about knowing your art. Here are some interesting things to remember when you are writing a blog, because most of us are going to be writing personal blogs, right? So don't give up, and it takes time. Writing anything takes time. You can't write one article. Even if you ended up writing an article in the newspaper, no one's going to remember it. If they might remember the article, they won't necessarily remember the writer. Consistency is what helps us remember. You remember processes and you remember thoughts relating to them. You rarely remember the person that delivered them. I can remember so many things I learned over the last couple of years. There's very few exceptions. I can remember the person who says it. Even if you think about all the sessions you've heard or the talks that you've listened to, most of the people will go, there's this quote. Somebody once said, blah, 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 whatever the quote is. You remember the quote. You won't remember the person that said it. Usually. So it's important that has to be constantly drummed in your head or in the head of the public for them to remember it. And that is why you just got to keep doing it. Now, I say stay consistent, and I don't say write daily. Staying consistent basically means that you are regular at what you're doing. Regular implies it could be once a week, could be twice a month. Just be regular. Know one thing, however, that the more you do anything, the better you become at it. Whatever it might be. I don't know how many of you all drive, but if any of you all have started driving, you'll probably be very conscious about gear shifting if you're driving a manual vehicle. You'll be very conscious about gear shifting. You can remember this conversation for 3 months down the line if you drive every day, or 3 years down the line, or 10 years down the line, where you won't be thinking about gear shifting at all. It will just happen automatically. And that sounds insane, but that is the way it is. Think about the first time you went swimming. You have to be very conscious of which hand you put forward, which leg you kick to it. Today, if you are a good swimmer and you were thrown in the pool, you don't think about that at all. It just happens. So be consistent. The more you do it is better, of course. If you can do it every day, by all means, do it every day. If you can't, then we can definitely stick to whatever is the schedule. Now, it's very important to have a timing, because most people tune in for a specific thing at a time. You'll notice your parents tuning into the news. So they would probably tune into the news at, let's say, 9 o'clock every night. And it would be very odd or difficult for anybody to keep up if every day that timing changed. If you turn on the news at 9 o'clock and there's some cartoon going on, you're going to wonder what's happening. And then you'd wonder what time's the news going to be. And then let's say that day they move the news to 10 o'clock. The next day, what do? Do you tune in at 9 or do you tune in at 10? And if you tune in at 9 and it's not then, it's at 10 o'clock the next day as well. The third day, you'll automatically go, okay, I'm going to tune in at 10. And the third day, when you tune in at 10, it was at 9 and you missed the news. So it's very important to be consistent. Now, the thing about blogs is, of course, they are there. It's not that, if you missed it happening, you would miss it completely. The information is there, it stays. It's not like the news where after the 9 o'clock news, there's a different show. You can gather that information again. But consistency also helps with having like, I'm going to drop a new post every Friday at 9 o'clock. Another interesting thing about creating blogs is tell stories. It's very, very important that you tell stories. People don't want to read very boring research papers unless they have to, or your syllabus dictates it. So if you tell stories, most people are happy to join along for the journey. Think visually. So that means two things. One, I assume that a majority of the people here are literature students. And if you are, or you have a flair for writing, make sure that a person can imagine what they're reading, because they're going to stick around for the journey then as well. That's one side of thinking visually. The second side is actually what your blog looks like. You don't want dark blue words on a black background. Nobody can read that. Or they can, but they'll have to struggle. So you usually have two contrasting colors, black and white, white and black. You can have white background, black words, like this slide, or a black background, white words, or whatever. You can work with any colors, a light yellow background with dark blue words, or something to that effect. But you should think visually. You should also think about where you're going to place pictures in it. You don't want a massive, 2,000-word article with one picture at the end. Maybe you put it in the middle. Maybe you have 3 or 4 pictures that break the content left and right and just have it spaced out all over. So make sure you know the audience you're catering to. This might not make sense if you're talking about, I don't know, if you're talking about gardening, maybe you could have a tree growing from the base all the way to the top with words on either side. How you do it is up to you. The world is your oyster, as somebody once said. Right. Next, publish regularly. Very important that you publish regularly. Very similar to staying consistent. You can write multiple blogs that are works in progress and just leave them out there, but make sure you complete one along with whatever your schedule is every week, or just add to the incomplete one and publish it, right? And the most important thing, whatever you're putting out there should add value. If you're just planning on copying what somebody else has done or re-saying what somebody else has done, you're not really that valuable. Why would anybody want to listen to you when they can just listen to the original person, right? So you can see all of the information on the screen right in front of you. Okay, now let's get to content writing. Wow, there's a lot. Okay, so content writing. There's a lot of things that you can write content for. As of right now, we can just focus on websites. But you can write content for white papers or ebooks, which can also be published on websites. The beauty about white papers or ebooks is that they can be downloaded and kept offline. So it's very interesting to also remember that white papers are more design oriented instead of content, which holds people's attention longer. Next, newsletters. I remember in 2012, I worked in a newsletter for our class, for our English department at St. Xavier's College in Norfolk. It's a long way from where you guys are. And that information can also be stored. All of this information can actually be stored on. All of it is its own form of content, right? So as of right now, flyers, brochures are exactly what you think they are, flyers and brochures. So as of right now, you can even talk about putting up these designs on your blog if that is what you want to do. If you want to run an arts and crafts blog, maybe. But remember that content is king. I always said that. So the more information you have out there, the better you'll be at it. Okay. So this is the different type of information that you have to deliver. Now, depending on the blog or the website that you're writing for, make sure you focus some amount of energy on marketing it. It's very important that the content you put out helps gain an audience. If it's very bland, no one's going to read it, even if it's the best story ever. So it should be something that makes you go, whoa, I want to know what happens next. If you look online, you've seen all of these titles. Read more to know what happens to so-and-so person. Or accidents on the road, terrible. Have they caused any deaths? Read more, or something like that. And then you're like, oh man, now I really want to know whether somebody I know died or something like that. So always gather the information and go through it. Informational marketing. Whenever you are working on a blog, you should pay attention to the following things: bounce rate, SEO, keywords, and backlinks. I'll explain. Bounce rate is the amount of time a person spends in your blog before they move away. If you have a higher bounce rate, that means people are moving away really quick. So you want to hold people's attention for as long as you can. Preferably, if you do want people to stick to a website, it will be better for the SEO of your website. But you can't necessarily do that in a 1,000 word article. It'll be an exception, a very rare one. So what we usually do is we have interesting thoughts that are also connected there that also lead to your website. For instance, if I'm talking about Benali Beach or Kolva Beach, I'm terrible at South Goa beaches. If I'm talking about Kolva Beach, for instance, I would write on it, and there's a lot of information put out there. So everybody is reading it. Now, if it's 1,000 words, it's very likely people will read the first few lines and then go, I don't want to read that. I'm going to leave the website. But if you have a thing on the side, maybe a side panel that says, you could also learn about and name 10 other beaches that are in South, and you go, oh, okay, I can bounce from this page and read about that. But if all of that has also been written by you on your own website, you're keeping people running in circles on your website, which is better to increase your SEO on Google. Right? So pay attention to bounce rates. SEO is the words that you are. SEO are the words. SEO, search engine optimization, refers to how you optimize the website for specific keywords. If you're talking about beaches, obviously your keywords have to revolve beaches. If you're talking about anything else, your keywords have to focus around those things. Focus on that. And backlinks are links that you would have to other websites of interesting information, or links on other people's websites to come to you, or links on your own website to take you to another page of your website. For instance, you could go, Kolva Beach is right next to whatever the beach it is, it's right next to X beach, and hyperlink that name of the beach to another article you've written about that beach. So then you have a link back and forth. So it's also in the side panel, also there. So at the end, people are very engaged with the website. They're moving from one page to another, which is better for you. All right. So we are done with blogs, and we are done with content. And now we're going to get into creating them. Before I move to that, I just want to ask, does anybody have any questions? And let's try to be a little quick about it, because I don't want to, rush through the other part because it's a little heavy. Any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat box or say it out loud. Nope. Nobody? Nothing? Oh. That's a lot of you, by the way. Wow. Before we get to the second part, I'd like to thank everybody for actually joining the Zoom meet. That means a lot that so many of you are here. Thanks, guys. All right, so let's get to it. Now, what type of blog should I create? When I created this, there were a lot fewer options, but today there are so many options. So again, the world is yours, so you can create as different styles, different platforms as you like. Right, so here are some of your options: WordPress, Wix, Blogger, Tumblr, Medium. These are some of the most popular ones. Now, when it comes to me personally, I'm a hardcore fan of WordPress. Proper. I love it. I love WordPress inside and out. And that being the case, I would always create a blog in WordPress. Now, again, many of you, so it's very simple. You can just Google whichever one of these you want, and it shows you how you can create a blog. Let's do that right now. Here we are. Wix. See, it's right there. Create your website. Good stuff. Very simple, very easy to do. And the thing about creating a blog in this day and age is that it's all done in a very simple step process that talks you through how it's done. So it tells you everything. Already have an account, log in. But I don't I don't know if y'all can see very clearly because it looks very tiny on my screen. It has that set right up there. Now, you can just ask yourself, do I already have an account? I don't. Okay, then I have to create an account right here. Sign up. Very simple, very smooth transitions. Wix is amazing to work with. Again, I'm going to talk about WordPress and Blogger because those are two more relevant, I feel, today. Wix is exactly as simple to use as WordPress. And another really interesting thing about all of them is that they're free for a certain limit. So by all means, start. And if you do like what you're doing, then consider paying. You don't even have to put down any money because you could go, I don't like this. This is boring. This is not my thing. I'm going to stop. And then stop. And you have lost nothing. Just maybe the time you invested in figuring it out. But that's not that bad, right? Okay. So let's get through the rest. Right. So here we go. I usually say this for beginners and for casual bloggers, Blogger is the way to go. However, for advanced features and long-term usability, WordPress is a better option. I've built WordPress websites for some of my clients who are still using them till today, more than like 5-6 years down the line. Definitely working for all of or everything that they want to do. And I've built websites that have held up to million people on them at the same time. So it can hold a load. Like it's not going to crash if it's built properly. So yeah, how to create a blog. Boom. Let's talk about Blogger first. We'll just actively tackle through the process. I don't know if you can see my screen, but it's very simple. You go to blogger.com. I'll try doing that for you as well. So I generally just go straight to the Google search and say, create a blogger blog. Right up there. It's blogger.com. Right. Straight in. Now, if you look at the page, you can see it's got create a blog right here, orange. Then there's an orange panel. It's got create your blog right here at the base. Create your blog right here on the top left. It's everywhere. Now, you can do one of two things. I already have one, so I can go to sign in, or you can go to create a blog, depending on where you stand. Very simple stuff, very easy to do. What? No. Oh, no. Blogger.com. Why are you not letting me sign in, Blogger? Why you be like this? Had I used a different account when I created it? Right. I had not. This was my account back then. Huh. Looks like somebody forgot his password. Right. So anyway, getting back to it then. So basically, we can actually create the account right now. Come for the title for the blog. Boom. And there, 3 simple steps. We've created the entire blog. Not rocket science at all. Very simple to do. That is. See, that's simple. Now, what happens next? You can create posts, new post, write whatever you want, title, I don't. And you can also put in all of the other information that you think makes sense. And then you can just publish it right there. Just to publish a post to your blog. and it is there published 11th Feb. I don't have a title yet. That's simple, very straightforward. Now, I'll get back to this and we'll talk about everything that's in it. So this obviously was the first page. The red that you can see on the side was the first page. We went through that when we created the blog. We hit the create one. It allowed us to create one directly using our Gmail account. And you have to click right in. This is a slightly older version of blog. Okay, tackle each one of these. Posts, we just created one, so you've seen it. After you create a post, you can see the one that you've already published. It's all here. Then you have stats relating to the post if you want to see any of the stats. Comments, because people can comment on the posts that you put up. Earnings, if you are making any money off it. You can plan campaigns where you say, I'm going to have 18 posts over the next 3 months and on specific days. So you can even write earlier and have it. Oh, what is that link for, Samiksha? Okay. I don't know if anybody saw the link, but I guess that y'all will have to. Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. There's a link to the feedback form right there. So you can get through that in a bit as well. Pages, like we already mentioned, you can create multiple pages and associate each page with a specific post. Right. So that's about everything relating to Blogger. This is where you create your post. And like we already saw when we went through the post, there's a side panel here. It gives you all of this information on the side. So you can choose the labels you want to add, for instance. Now, this post is very vague because nobody can read that and know what topic I'm talking about, because I'm not talking about a topic. I'm just putting in dummy content. However, if I was talking about, let's say, a beach, I would just put beach, sand, Goa, north, sunset, whatever you think is a fair label associated with the beach, and you can have them all updated there. Then you have your date, you have your location. If you want, I can change that location to wherever. Currently saying India, I can change that to wherever I am at the time I'm posting it. This is the link of the post. So if I ever want to share this, I can give this to a friend, and if you open it, you should ideally get my post. There it is. Right? Very simple. You can share this link on your social media or wherever you want. Okay. I think that's it. We've got through Blogger. Let's get through WordPress. Okay, WordPress. So let's do WordPress. Yo, what's happening? What's happening? Please ignore the gazillion email addresses I have, all for work. Boom, there you go. Very simple. Again, 3 simple clicks, you're at your backend of WordPress. Very, very simple. This would be a lot easier if you guys were interacting, looking at what's happening and asking the questions. I'm assuming everybody sees what's happening and is going, okay, that makes sense. And it does. If you're going, that makes sense and it doesn't, please do ask me why I did something, how I did something, and how I got to where I did, so I can assist. Because if everybody's understanding, it's no point me mansplaining it. But if you aren't, then yeah, please let me know. Okay, cool. So back here, so basically creating the account, like I said, just Google, create a WordPress account, create a Blogger account, however you prefer. Move forward from there. It's very simple when you're coordinating this. They'll just ask you a couple of questions. Now, I did not get this form because my blog's already created with my email address. So if you're creating a new one, again, very straightforward. What would you like to name your site? We did all of this for Blogger. Whatever you'd like to call it. Samiksha's Sunday Speech, I guess. That's a good name for a site. And then she talks about things every Sunday, and she posts every Sunday at 8 o'clock or something like that. Or whatever. Sumit's Stitching or something like that. Again, come up with a creative name. Creativity is up to you guys. Then what will your site be about? That's interesting. If you're talking about random stuff, whatever it is, ranting about the troubles of our youth, talking about fashion and stitching or whatever. Put the information, all the forms are very simple. And there you go. It just takes you to the page right there where it shows you exactly what you've put in. Then you can obviously customize your page. You can change things. Who am I is usually the first post I write where I give an introduction to myself and why I'm doing it. Maybe you guys could find out a different way of addressing it. Completely up to you, right? Again, very simple like we just did. Title, text, and the information on the side. You can do that right here. Create a page, start a blog post. Yep. Here we are. That's simple. Add a title, whatever it is. So you can't write a very big title. So you can put that, and then you can have a subheading, which goes then again, very simple. You can add whatever information you want to this. You can undo bits that you've done. You can redo bits that you've done. You can increase the line height, whatever. It's very easy to customize color settings. Change the color of your text. Change the color of your background. Just make sure that you're using like the opposite so that you don't have dark text and a dark background because no one's going to see it. Right? And that's it. We're out of creating blogs. Let me know if there's anything more that you'd like me to explain further in this regard. Let me know if you have any questions. Just fire away. I've got about 30 minutes in. So yeah, let me know. If any part that I did was too fast, I can do it again slowly because I do have the time. I just didn't want to. How to add pictures? That's a great question. Okay, so I'll just actually do it so you can see right here, right? There should be an option somewhere that talks about adding media. Where do we find it? Add. There's a little plus there. Add. And then you go to image. Then you can upload the image you want to add. I don't have an image that will make sense. I'll just put the logo of.
That's the logo of a company that I work with. Give me 1 second, I'm getting a call.
Right. Okay. Sorry about that. My phone's just constantly off the hook. Right. So here it is. And that's how we add an image. That's your image. Then we can add multiple images. So basically all you do is you go to add the little plus. Whenever you see a plus, it's always an add. And then you add a heading, a code, class, whatever you want. Just find the thing that makes sense to you. Image, it's right there. Yeah. Oh, don't thank me. What's rubbish? It's totally fine. That's part of what this session's for. Anybody else? So how do you attract more viewers to a blog? Right. Okay, that's a great question. So usually what you do is firstly, you promote the blog on all of your social media. Remember we spoke about how you take the link and you copy and paste it somewhere? Paste it in your story. See, okay. I assume you'll use Instagram. The interesting thing about Instagram, which is actually unfortunate, is that if you post links on Instagram in your stories, people can't click on them. Instagram has banned links. So find a way to post it as a post it in your bio, post the blog link wherever you get a chance. Keep posting blog link. That's one way that you can do it, because more people check Facebook and Instagram and Twitter as opposed to actual blogs, because you don't go to Google and you Google which blog am I going to read today. But if you read that your friend has created a blog on Instagram, you'll probably check the blog out. That's one way. Second way is to get other people to promote your stuff. Right, we'll get to that. Second is to have other people promote your stuff. So talk to your friends about promoting it, where people can go, oh, this benefited me. So and so person was talking about weight loss, for instance, or healthy eating or exercise. It benefited me. Maybe you should check it out as well. And share this thing. Right? So that's the other way that we can do this. Check out your blog. Are there any more ways? I think just collaborations with other people. Maybe you can write on other people's blogs and say, for more information on, or let's say you talk about fashion. So you write an article about fashion clothing that you could wear in the, and you write that article on somebody else's blog, on let's say a summer blog or something like that, or a blog about Goa. And then you could say, for more information about fashion, check out my blog. And then you put a link to yours. So those are a bunch of ways that you could increase the number of people that check out your blog. Someone just asked, how do you monetize a blog? So what happens with monetizing a blog is it's actually a little tricky. It's a blog. If you have a lot of people reading your blogs, then there are multiple third-party apps that you can work with that will be more than happy to work with you. I'll explain. You need something like 100,000 to 1 million people checking out your blog every day. That is called traffic. Some blogs have very little traffic. Some blogs have a lot of traffic. Now we can talk about direct monetization, where you tell people, look, you know how, just pulling numbers here, I don't know them, but you know how Herald, the newspaper, gets 600,000 people reading it every day? Again, I made up the number just as an example. You know how the Herald gets 600,000 people reading it every day? My blog gets 1 million people reading it every day. Show the stats right there. Look, 1 million people coming in on Monday. I posted my next on Wednesday, 1 million. Now, if you're doing an advertisement in the Herald and you're paying X amount, how about I write about you and I charge you that amount or a different amount, whatever the amount is? That's one way that you can monetize a blog. Second way that you can do it is just tell, Google does it directly, where you tell them, since I have so many people coming in, Google will display random ads on your blog based on those people's search words. So different people will be searching for different things and those ads will pop up on their computer. Whenever anybody clicks a link, you get money in your wallet. That's the second way. Third is multiple third-party apps. The most important thing you need to monetize a blog is traffic. I can't have a blog that has 2 people reading it and go, I want to monetize it. Even if it's little money, I'll take it. No, nobody would give you little money at all. So you need to get in the 100,000 to 1 million range. Then it's very easy. Once you're in that range, yeah, it's easy. I hope that answered your question. Do we have something as reviewing books and paid what?
So, sir, Seema Dharani here.
Yeah.
One of my friend, he reviews the books like a normal book of maybe motivational books, and he provides a link associated with the Amazon. So whenever a person reviews his blog, goes to that link, he's paid for the purchase if the person purchases the book from the Amazon after reading his review.
Right. Okay. So a couple of things to sort out on that. So firstly, that is not done by the blog. That is done by Amazon. Like I told you, there's multiple third parties that do it. So Amazon will look at you and go, oh, you are bringing more people to my platform. I will pay you for it. So what he has to do there is he should not put the direct link of Amazon, but he can create a vendor link on Amazon. That has nothing to do with blogs. That's a different topic altogether. Nothing to do with the session, but just to give you the information, he can become a vendor on Amazon And whenever anybody clicks the link from his blog to go to Amazon, they would go through his vendor profile. So he would be seen as the middleman who's getting Amazon that traffic. And then he would get a cut on all of the books that people buy.
Thank you so much.
No problem at all. Anybody else? Anyone else? Come on, guys. I have some more time with you.
I think all these first year students would probably have to write a blog. So, if they could continue that, that would be good.
Yeah, that's what I was actually getting at. That if everybody was sitting with their computers right now and writing something, that would probably make it a lot easier for them. Because if you are online, you obviously come across a lot of questions as you're going through it, and then I would be able to tackle them as opposed to just speaking theoretically while everyone's assuming. Anybody else want to try a hand at something, asking anything? Nope. Okay. How does we take this forward?
Just Samiksha, is anybody seeing if there are questions on the YouTube? Is anybody keeping a watch there? I think Samiksha has lost connectivity. It's there.
Okay. No issues. I can wait. I'm totally fine. Let me know as soon as she comes back. I think I see her on the list actually.
Maybe she's there, but maybe she can't, connect. Maybe she can't be heard.
Probably.
So what we'll do, Silverio, if there were any questions there, then we'll probably send them across to you so you could answer them.
100%. 100%. Samiksha also has my email address, so she can get in touch with me whenever she chooses. That should not be a problem at all.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. So was any student assigned the task of thanking Mr. Silverio?
Yes, ma'am. I'll continue.
Yes. Continue, please.
Thank you, sir. We have learned something new today. This session
My
has given us
pleasure.
a great insight into blogging. I like to call upon Miss Dimple Taude to propose the vote of thanks.
Very good afternoon to all present. It is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for today's workshop. Firstly, I would like to express my immense gratitude to our today's resource person, Sir Silverio Souza, for conducting such a fruitful and detailed session on blogging. We all indeed have benefited a lot from this session. I would also like to extend our immense gratitude to our respected principal, Professor Dr. Preeta Malya ma'am, and Vice Principal, Professor Dr. Rodney De Silva sir, for extending their constant support. I would also like to thank Ma'am Samiksha Vengulekar, the convener of the workshop, for having conducted such a fruitful session. I would like to extend my gratitude to the technical staff for ensuring smooth conduct of the meet. And also, a hearty thanks goes to all the participants for attending today's workshop. Thank you, one and all. Have a good day.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the opportunity as well. Really, really appreciate the interaction. I really appreciate
Silverio,
you
I'm
guys taking
very
the time.
sorry I couldn't hear it.
No issues, Samiksha, no issues. I was just saying thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for the ability to be here as part of this. I think this internet thing is a bit of a challenge for almost
Thank
everybody.
you
So
so
we
much
just got
for accepting this.
no problem at all.
Thank you, Silverio. Hope to see you again.
Yes, yes, for sure. Just let me know. Maybe even
On
if you all have an in-person one, I'll be there.
Yeah, on campus, yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
See you
Bye.
guys. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Silverio. Thank you, ma'am. And I'm requesting participants to please answer the feedback form that is sent as a link in the chat box. It's there also in on YouTube. So please have take some time and answer the feedback form. Thank you. Thank you for attending this session.